Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Real Boys, and today we are reviewing my number 4 movie, and it's called The Breakfast Club. And if you haven't heard it, you've been living under a rock for probably the last 36 years. So, The Breakfast Club is about 5 high school students from different walks of life that spend a Saturday detention together, only to find out they're not so different. It stars Molly Ringwald as Claire, Emilio Estevez as Andrew, Judd Nelson as John Bender, Anthony Michael Hall as Brian, and Ally Sheedy as Allison, and Paul Gleason as Richard Vernon, the Principal Vernon. So let's go ahead and bring everybody in here. What few people we have today, I believe. There we go. I mean, it's kind of pointless to bring everybody in one-on-one. So
yeah,
it's only 3 of us. So
everybody else is in detention.
Yeah, there will be more joining us as far as I understand. So
yeah,
that'd be cool.
It's not. Don't worry, it's not just the 3 of us today.
Just the 3 of us.
I'm gonna. Right. Can I put quotation marks around high school students?
Yeah, because they're. I don't know. Yeah,
Emilio Estevez. In high school. Emilio Estevez looks like he's 30 in this movie.
Yeah, the varsity Letterman jacket really doesn't put it off that well.
Yeah. Bender is apparently the oldest one.
He's
in the movie.
27.
Yeah, he does not look the oldest.
No.
There are a couple. Molly Ringwald is the only one who was actually an appropriate age to be a high schooler in this movie.
I think Anthony Michael Hall was too. Yeah. I think they were both 16 at the time.
Okay, I was going to say Anthony Michael Hall could have passed, but
but Ally Sheedy was kind of up there too.
Yeah, Ally Sheedy was in her 20s, like 23 or 24. Mm-hmm. But Emilio Estevez looks out of place. He could have played the principal in this movie.
Yes, very easily.
He's the only one that I was watching. I'm like, this guy doesn't quite look right for the role.
Yeah. Yeah, the other one's fine, but he's yeah.
All right, well, I guess we'll kick off the plot. Well, all the students get dropped off at school by their parents. Obviously, Emilio Estevez, his father's like, "You got caught, bud. I screwed around. You screwed around, but you got caught, so here you go." Claire's character tries to beg her way out of it, and her dad's just like, "Just go to school, honey. I'll take you shopping afterwards," like a spoiled little rich kid. And Ally Sheedy's or Allison, actually, her parents just kind of just drop her off and just leave. And in the meantime, almost hitting Judd Nelson in the process. Mm-hmm. And it takes place at, I think it's Shermer, Illinois.
Illinois,
High
yep.
School.
Yeah.
And I guess their whole thing is that during this whole detention, they have to write an essay about what they think they're going to be or what their future holds for them.
I think who they are.
Yeah,
they are.
I think the assignment was who you think you are.
Yeah.
Which is kind of messed up.
Yeah. Because they're like, what? We'll say 16, 17 at this point in time. So, yeah, it's kind of messed up. And like, who do you think you are in life? Right now?
This wouldn't fly. This shouldn't have flied. This shouldn't have flied back in the day, and it definitely wouldn't fly now. Mm-hmm. These are kids. You can't be this hard on kids. It's not going to help anything.
Especially this principal needs to learn that, because this guy, Dan, if it's okay with you can hop around.
Oh, absolutely, go ahead.
But this principal is hardcore, even for a movie set in this time, without the rest of the movie being kind of a broad, over-the-top comedy. When he corners Bender in the supply closet and is like, "Hey, when you get out of school, I'm going to find you and beat the shit out of you. Yeah. And nobody's going to believe you." I'm like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. That guy's pretty intense. Like, I was watching the DVD of this with the, it wasn't commentary. It was just like trivia written on there.
Okay.
And it said that he got so intense during that scene that, why can't I remember the name of the guy who plays Bender?
Judd
Nelson.
Judd Nelson.
Yeah, they said that like when he flinches, when he like goes to punch him, they said that was real because he was so intense during that scene that he thought he was actually going to punch him.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty. I have a couple of pieces of trivia from this movie that I thought were interesting from watching that commentary track.
Right. Well, this did take place in the 80s. Like, I think I was 3 when this movie was made. So maybe that was acceptable back then, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Teachers
I don't know. I was
not acceptable when I went there.
No, I was in elementary school in the 80s, so
yeah.
No teachers tried to hit me when I was, a second grader.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we're in the library, where most of this movie takes place. Well, I'm actually like 95% of it, and they have the next thing I had written down was the club convo, where they have this conversation about academic clubs and prep clubs. I believe I think that's what we call them, and how they're not so different now, or how they're like different but not different to certain people. Like the academic clubs are kind of the same thing as prep clubs to the people that are in them. But the prep clubbers are just like, nah, academic clubbers are just nerds.
Nerds, yeah. So, I mean, that was also the same in the 90s.
Right, yeah. So that was kind of where it was when I was in high school, too.
Same in the early 2000s.
I was going to ask you guys, was it like this in your high school? There's like little cliques. Did you guys have the 5, I want to say the cliques, the cliquey people, like the popular group, the jocks, all the other shit.
Michael, you go first.
Yeah, I was in high school. I graduated in 97, so that would put me like where these guys are, like right in the mid 90s. And it wasn't that much different. This is like, that would have been like 10 years later after this movie was made, and it was pretty much the same. It was definitely, us nerds were, Anthony Michael Hall's character and Ally Sheedy's character was where I lived in high school. And the popular kids and the jocks were definitely not too much different to us than they are to those two in the beginning. Like, they really didn't think you were shit back then. That was absolutely true.
I graduated high school in 2009.
Jesus.
Yeah. And my graduating class, I don't know, I did the work and didn't get in trouble. My graduating class was about 95 people. I went to a school of about 350 total in the entire high school. Shared elementary, shared middle school, shared high school. We had larger groups, but we didn't have traditional cliques. We had, kids who played football also hung out with the kids who played soccer, who hung out with some of the band geeks. Then you had there was a fair religious demographic at our school, but we were small enough that it was really hard, unless you kind of like intentionally isolated yourself with people, to avoid being a part of some sort of social circle in general. Which, when I had originally watched this movie for the first time back in high school, I was like, this doesn't feel authentic to my experience, because I hadn't experienced anything like this in my actual high school, despite being, admittedly, in my view, one of the nerdier people at that school.
I don't believe you were a nerd in high school.
I know. Don't I just strike you as a wrestler?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh that hard.
So no, I had kind of, I hung out with kind of a group of people, but we didn't have clearly divided social hierarchies like this, at least that I saw.
Right. See, in my high school, I went to 2 different high schools, and my first high school I went to was very cliquey. It was you had everyone stayed in the group and no one like fluttered around and all that stuff. And I played sports, so I was like considered a jock, I guess. So I hung out with all the varsity lettermen and all that stuff. But when I moved to a different school, it was complete 180. It was everyone knew each other, everyone hung out with each other, and I like that so much better. So having two experiences from two different ways, it's so much better when everyone just gets along.
Yeah, when my kids started going to school, I was nervous about it because their high school is a little bit bigger than the one that I went to. And I was like, oh man, this sucks. But kids, it seems like the kids now are much less cliquey. I mean, they're still assholes and stuff, but it seemed like a lot of the nerds hung out with, a lot of the jocks and stuff. It's much less so now, which I think is great because when you learn, I knew a bunch of jocks. I was one of those weird art kids that sort of hung out with the different cliques, and you learn stuff from everyone. And I think that's, learning stuff from different types of people is so important to like life in general, because when you grow up just in cliques, and I think this movie very like represents this very well in an hour and a half. But these kids start off assuming things about the kids that they don't know anything about, and then once they start learning about the other kids, they're like, oh, we're not that much different from each other. And some people never learn that. And that's, we're not getting political here on The Real Boys, but that's how you end up with how America was for a while when you don't learn anything about people who are different than you. So yeah, I think I was surprised and pleasantly surprised at how well this movie held up. There's a couple of things in there that I would have preferred not to have heard, but it was, again, part of their character development. Like once Emilio Estevez learned something about Bender, I'm going to keep forgetting his name. So I'm going to call him Bender and everybody else by their actors' names. But once Emilio Estevez learns more about Bender, then he doesn't, use any slurs on him anymore, because, that sort of grew him as a person. And I thought that was really cool to see happen. Like, it develops very fast, but it still feels natural in this movie. So I think he did a very good job in this movie of character development in such a short time.
I'm with you on that. One of the things that struck me when I started watching it today, I watched it earlier today, is the dialogue feels very right. It feels very authentic. And it does a really good job of advancing the characters while not sounding like it's supposed to. If that makes sense from like a writer perspective, you've got to advance the characters, you have to advance the plot, and you have to do it in a way that people aren't like, oh, they're just delivering exposition. But all of these characters feel like they're very authentically presenting themselves. Slurs included. That's a product of its time, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but it's important to remember when you go back and watch movies written in the 80s where this stuff is much more common, and where certain things are common, such as Bender winding up under Molly Ringwald's desk. Which is there was kind of like a comedy bit, but when it wouldn't be nowadays.
Wrong.
Yeah, there was definitely, and I do appreciate that, because back in the day when I grew up, social pressures did have us, sometimes saying things that you end up regretting. And to own up to that and sort of like say, yeah, I was wrong about that, I'm not going to do that anymore. I think that's a very important thing for people to learn and understand. that you can say that stuff and not necessarily be a bad person. You just need to learn about people who are different than you, and then you'll be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And nobody's going to be like, no, you said this thing 20 years ago, I'm never talking to you again. And if somebody does do that, then they're the asshole. So
or you're just on Twitter.
or you're just on Twitter. And again, even if you're on Twitter and you say, look, I said this 20 years ago, absolutely I did. I'm a different person now. I think most people will be like, cool, way to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like pretty much what this whole movie is about, is this like judging people before you know them. And it's how wrong it is and how the same everyone is actually without even knowing it. And that's pretty much sums up this entire movie just in that phrase right there. Yeah. But there's a few parts in here that make you chuckle, like when Bender takes the screw out of the door and now they get their, and then he I forget his name, Vernon, Principal Vernon takes
the chair.
Emilio Estevez, and he tries it with the chair first, and he's like, Andrew, on your feet, and then he grabs the magazine rack and tries to wedge the magazine rack in it. And he's like,
the first legitimate laugh I had in this movie. I didn't have too many. The movie was very good, but I didn't think it was like super funny. But the first legitimate laugh I had was when he puts that chair in the door. And the door closes and that chair just goes flying, and the look on his face is so funny. I was like,
how Bender can undermines him at every little step he takes. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, there's some the subtle humor in this was so much more effective than like any jokes that they were going for.
Right.
Like at one point Bender and Emilio Estevez are like fighting, and he takes out the switchblade, and then he stabs it into the chair. And then you just see Ally Sheedy like come in from the side of the thing and like take the nut. That was so funny. I'm like, all of the jokes didn't really land, but that subtle background stuff hit for me every time it happened.
Yep, exactly. And then we had the first real showdown between John and Principal Vernon. The whole "eat my shorts" line comes into play, and was used notoriously from here point on into like The Simpsons and other movies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then it ends with him getting like pretty much 8 detentions, I believe, or is it 7 according to Brian?
It's 7 according to Brian, 8 according to Principal Vernon.
Yeah,
and even like Principal Vernon at this point like pokes fun at Brian. He says, "Shut up, Pee-wee."
Yeah.
Like, even the principal is a bully at this point in time.
The principal is nothing but a bully the whole time.
Yeah, he's the status quo, trying to keep these kids. He pushes back on these kids trying to leave their cliques.
Yeah, and the janitor guy ends up sort of talking him down a little bit. So even Principal Vernon does learn a little bit in this movie. So it was really good. Like, this is one of those movies where if you watch it at different points in your life, you're going to get something different out of it. When I watched this when I was 18, I got something complete. It's like when you read Catcher in the Rye. Like if you read that in high school, you get something completely different than when you read it when you're 40. And I like stuff like that. I like stuff like that because it shows your growth as a person. Because if you do get the same thing out of it at 40 that you did when you were 18, you need to grow up. Like the lesson in that type of stuff is that you need to grow up.
Yeah, you can pretty much relate, and like Mike said, you can pretty much relate any aspect of your life to any character in this movie. Like from 18 to 25 to 40.
Yeah. Can we address Nick Malati?
Are you sure you mean Grosse Pointe Blank and not High Fidelity, the other John Cusack movie?
I mean, Grosse Pointe Blank is a great movie.
Grosse Pointe Blank is great.
Yeah, I don't know what lessons we're learning from Grosse Pointe Blank.
I mean, if you watch it in high school and you're thinking about your upcoming reunion versus watching it as an adult having gone past your reunion.
I mean, the only thing I can think of enjoying in a high school reunion would be if I was a professional assassin like John Hughes was in that movie.
Killing someone with a TV.
Yeah. I mean, that movie...
Grosse Point Blank gives me more of that nostalgia. Wow. All right.
Okay.
Interesting.
Weird.
That's an interesting point, Nick Malati. I don't know that I quite understand it, but there it is.
No, but now I want to go watch Grosse Point Blank.
Yes, so do I. I was very disappointed. The first time I watched Grosse Point Blank, it was on DVD, and I thought I was watching 4 Days in the Valley, which is another assassin movie.
Okay.
2 Days in the Valley?
2 Days in the Valley?
I forget what that movie is called, but it was a different assassin movie, and I just like...
If you say
Nick
so.
Nick Malati wants to make sure that everyone knows that he is not an assassin, which is exactly what an assassin would say.
2 Days
exactly.
in the Valley.
2 Days in the Valley. Also a great movie I highly recommend.
Oh, hello.
Yes. Uh-oh.
Most of you guys are frozen.
He looks like it's melting everybody's internet.
Oh, no.
Like I said, the true nemesis of the rule is the internet activity.
It sounds like...
We pissed off some people, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
We're getting hacked.
Nick Malati is trying to get on the show.
Oh, wow. All right. Should I just move on? Okay. We have a very uncomfortable conversation with Claire and John about the whole under the blouse, the over the panties type thing, and then we had Andrew sticking up for us. Now, do you think Andrew was just like disgusted by the conversation, or do you think it was Andrew kind of dislikes her?
As
not a bad
way.
Wow.
Become a robot. Okay.
Yeah, Michael, you're synthetic showing.
I'm going to.
I can't hear or see any one of you.
Yeah. And you can't see me either.
You're both frozen, but I can't. I can barely hear you.
Oh no.
Oh jeez.
It's not mine, is it?
I can hear Dan just fine.
No, it's not my internet. Wow. Technical difficulties on the Real Boys.
I'll be right back if you can hear me.
Auto-tune. I'll be right back.
He's T-Pain.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Dan?
Yeah, you sound like T-Pain too.
Oh.
Yep, you're frozen too.
We're live action troubleshooting here.
The universe does not want us to review this movie.
Guess not. Once Michael Jones back in, I'll see about my connection, but oh my goodness. Audio version is going to get triple since later.
Yeah.
We're not opening this. We're going to hold this with a disclaimer. Oh, my connection is shitty because I can't click on these comments.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. And we lost everyone. Thanks to everyone who's watching me, anyways. Leave a comment if you like this movie, and if you don't, tell me why. All right. I don't know if I should go solo or not. This is going to be weird. Well, anyways, I'll tell you what I thought of it. I thought like Emilio Estevez, I think his character was pretty much just disgusted with all the stuff that John Benner was saying, because as me personally, as I was watching the movie, I was fairly disgusted myself just by listening to it. So I can understand why, like, he just ended it and said, listen here, we're gonna take this, keep us on track for a second. Phil's bestest. But yeah, I can definitely relate to be like, all right, dude, no, you can't be saying shit like this. Oh, that's enough. Yeah, we still have technical difficulties. Apparently, it's Dylan's internet. And then we are introduced to Carl, the janitor, which is pretty much the eyes and ears of the institution. And I'm trying to go a solo show with two people right here. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. You're T-Pain. You're both T-Paining it.
Oh,
can you hear me at all?
Yeah, a little bit, Michael. This is unfortunate. This is people watching right now. This is great. Forwarding live technical troubleshooting.
Live technical troubleshooting.
Okay. And you look fine to me.
Yeah, okay. I'm good.
You're good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we reschedule or
freestyle for the folks back home?
Yeah, real huge apologies, everyone.
Oh,
Michael's back. Oh, Michael's coming back.
I can see Michael moving well.
Okay. Am I moving?
Okay.
Hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now too.
Okay. What the hell was that?
Yeah, that was weird.
Hitmen, the assassins are coming.
My day is great. Thanks, Jasmine. My day is fabulous.
Oh my god, this is gonna be fun to put up on for the audio version.
Right.
We're not putting this up.
No, I left off at
record a 5-minute opinion. Go for it.
Yeah, I left off at Carl the janitor appearing and being the eyes and ears of the institution. You guys are lagging again. Did you guys have a cool janitor where you went to high school? Because we had a janitor named Paulie, and this guy was awesome. He used to sneak us into the janitor's room to get soda and stuff out of the vending machine and let us hang out there when we skipped class.
Yes, we had a janitor named Woody, and he, okay? No, not okay.
Oh, no, man. You're doing your thing for you.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Everybody's internet is screwing around today, huh?
Yeah, no kidding.
Man.
The alien UFOs things are real.
I guess they're angry that we got disclosure. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Dan, how you feeling about this being a discussion for the Breakfast Club?
I feel we should reschedule.
Okay.
Get better reception. Because if they keep doing this, we're gonna be on here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, wow, this is crazy.
Did you catch that?
This is definitely a blooper reel.
Considering this is the first time this has happened for a show with this many people who have to connect to the same stream, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So we can push our Mondays back a week if that's cool with everybody here.
I'm okay with that. I don't know if anybody's watching, but I hope they're okay with that too.
We got a few people watching, but you know.
Right. So next Monday, the Breakfast Club.
It's not even letting me next Monday tune into the Breakfast Club because oh my god.
Yeah. Just put me on and I'll take us home, guys.
All right.
if you could do it. Oh, I wonder if Dylan put that up. That's hilarious if he did. But sorry, guys, we're having technical difficulties with connections and everything. And I don't want to bore you with just me talking like that because I do that twice a week already. And so I guess next Monday, we're going to be doing the same thing, the Breakfast Club right here. Hopefully, we'll get more people in and hopefully have better reception. But thank you guys for tuning in for right now. Friday, we do have the Tomorrow War. So I think that's Amazon Prime original. So come check us out on Friday at 9 p.m. EST for the Tomorrow War. And Monday we'll run back the Breakfast Club again. And once again, so sorry for the inconvenience. And Oops Caught Me Smoking. We'll be back after the 4th of July. And Thursday nights, Bet That with Dan and Jerian at 9 p.m. That's all we got. I love you guys. Stay up. Peace.